Now I want to talk about this idea of being grounded. Part of, and once I define what positive intelligence is, and I'm purposely choosing not to define it at this time because I want you to experience what it is as opposed to just receiving the definition. But I want us to understand that it is really about pausing, breathing, and arriving fully in whatever space you find yourself in. So now I want to invite you to do something that most entrepreneurs forget to do, and that is to pause. We are constantly thinking, fixing, solving, building, serving, but mental fitness really starts by learning to quiet the noise, the voices in our heads, just for a moment, and really reconnect with ourselves and to show up fully. So to pause. What I'm about to do is guide you through what we call a positive intelligence PQ rep. It's a micro practice from, positive intelligence method that helps you shift out of survival mode and going on and on and on into more calm and grounded state of being, right? So the outcome for that is that you in this exercise, you might just find yourself getting more clarity, right? Because the goal is it helps to quiet mental chatter that often exist and keep us from focusing and being present in the moment. This will also be activating sensory awareness and really do that mind and body connection that's necessary, which will strengthen your ability to shift attention away from the stress and hopefully into an embodied presence that we need for this conversation. And then also, it's about centering sage. And centering sage, and again, sage is a term that I will also define, but sage is really your essence, right? Your true self, the light within you. And that will, when we center sage, that means that you will be able to create a space for calm and your wise and ungrounded self to emerge. So having said that, now I'd like to do this PQ rep with you. So if you could find yourself placing your feet flat on the ground, wherever you are, yeah, and then lean back in your chair. Okay. Take a deep breath in, release. Now I'd like for you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and release. Now bring your attention to the tips of your fingertips. Rub two fingers together slowly, so gently that you can feel the ridges of both fingers. Focus only on that sensation, the texture, the subtle movement. Let your breath slow down as you do this. Now shift your focus to a sound you can hear in the room. It might be the hum of a fan, air conditioner, the sounds of the birds outside your window. Just notice it without judgment, without needing to change anything. Breathe, feel, listen. You are here. You are in a safe space and you are present. Now take a moment, and when you're ready, gently open your eyes or bring your attention back to the screen, to this image. In the chat or quietly to yourself, what's one word to describe how you feel right now? Yeah. Peace, relaxed, tranquility. Yeah. Like I'm missing something I should be doing. Okay. Would anybody would like to unmute and share what the feeling was like doing that quick pause, that quick peak, what we call a PQ rep? This is something that I find myself doing at least 20 times a day. How did it feel? Mm. The reason I did this exercise with you, this PQ rep, is because oftentimes we, again, as entrepreneurs, we forget to pause. And at the same time that we are continuously going, what we carry, we often don't always know what we're carrying, why we're carrying, and for whom we're carrying it. We don't always have a name for it. All we know is we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. As was said in the chat, when we don't carry, we're not constantly on the go, we feel like we're missing something, like we should be doing something. Sometimes we feel as though taking time to pause is not allowed. But what is important to realize is that when we don't take time for ourselves, when we don't pause, we don't, it's difficult for us to have clarity to be able to move forward, to get unstuck when we need to.
Can I add something, Hermes?
Yes, please.
As you would think about pause, for me, we're always thinking about things that we have to do. So what I do for my pause is I have a actual ritual. I drink tea and have a little snack.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm doing engaging in something like when you were having this meditation, I actually went and lit a candle. So what we could do is incorporate little things that help us feel relaxed. It could be
Yeah.
lighting a candle. It could be just doing something that just relaxes us. So we have to define specifically what that is. Because a lot of times when we say pause, we don't want to just sit and do nothing. But for me, it's like, hey, I'm going to stop. I always tell when I'm talking to my daughter, I'm going to stop and just have a cup of tea. And that's my pause. And I take that 20 minutes to just sit there, have a cup of tea, and just enjoy. Also, I love listening to the sound of owls. And I have a
Mm.
lot of owls that are around my house. So when I hear owl and I hear that woo, 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 I stop everything to just listen and meditate off that particular sound. And that gives me pause. So
Mm.
everybody could create what their own pause could be.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And as long as when you're pausing, you're also breathing.
Hmm.
Because one of the things we do, we literally, we take breathing for granted, actually. because we're like, it's just natural. But
Until we can't breathe anymore.
intentionally, huh? What'd you
I
say?
said, until we can't breathe anymore, you got
Exactly,
asthma
exactly,
issues or
exactly.
allergies or
So intensely, right? So there is a hidden mental load of entrepreneurship, right? Uh, what we carry, but don't always name. And some of those things are pressure to succeed without showing the strain, doubt, fear, and compassion mask as I'm just tired, exhausted, right? Decision fatigue and mental exhaustion. Just by a show of hands, like our emoji, like how many of you this month alone in 14 days have felt a sense of fatigue and mental exhaustion? Am I the only one? Yeah, yeah. And we often tell ourselves, well, we don't have time to be fatigued. We just have to push through, right? Feeling like you have to do it all perfectly. I have, and we'll talk about saboteurs, but I have a hyperachiever and a stickler. Those are what we call the voices that hijack me all the time. That I have to be mindful because my hyperachiever will tell me that you have to do it, you have to do it, you have to do it. And my stickler will tell me it has to be perfect. There can be a period missing. You have to do it perfectly or you shouldn't have done it at all. And so when you have those voices in your head, that leads to even more fatigue, right? And so oftentimes building a business while holding everything else. Okay, who's doing that right now? I think a lot of us are, right? A lot of us have families. We're holding down the household. We're holding down, the business. We're also holding down the family. So many things that's required of us. So really, let's take a moment to talk about what doesn't always make it into our, our highlight reels, right? Our LinkedIn page, our how we choose to share with people. The pressure to be all things to all people is exhausting. It's taxing. We often, as entrepreneurs, we look polished even when we're barely holding up things together. So often I go on LinkedIn or I'll go to Facebook and there's some entrepreneurs that I really admire. And I'm like, how are they showing up every day so perfect? Like, how are they doing that? But I realize at the same time, no, they're wearing a mask, right? And that's not always so great. We have to make the right decisions without ever showing fear or uncertainty. Like, we're not allowed to be shaky with our decisions, right? And oftentimes we find ourselves serving clients, leading teams, at the same time paying bills, handling personal life, sometimes being the breadwinner in the family, and still expected to smile in that headshot, to smile in those pictures, to go to that networking event and act like you've got all this entrepreneurship thing together and you are making millions. This is the part that often gets tucked behind our business cards and our social media profiles. The reality of how we feel. It's the heaviest part of the journey is when you're carrying all of this, as you see this sister in the uh, on the slide, she's got the suitcase, she's got the phone. Mind you, the phone is like luggage now because everything is there, and the purse, and she's holding a smile. That's how too often we're expected to show up. But I want us to have this conversation. I want to invite us into a moment of quiet honesty. I want us to think about what is the quiet struggle you've experienced on this journey that others may not see. So, because so many of us are carrying these things that don't show up on LinkedIn or elevator pitches, things that are real, but often go unseen. What are they? I ask you to take a couple, 30 seconds or so, and jot down, what is it? What is the quiet struggle that you're experiencing that others don't see?
Hermes, can you give us an example of, like, for example, I guess, and what I do, and probably with what you do, you probably talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, etc. What about a really good example of a quiet struggle that somebody shared with you and your recommendation for the resolution for that?
Well, one of the things, for example, that I'll use for example myself. One of the struggles, and especially early on in my entrepreneur career, was that I was an entrepreneur, but then I was also a mother of a child with needs. And for any of you who've had children, know children with needs, it takes, a lot of energy, right? And so I was being a full-time entrepreneur as well as being a full-time mother who had to make sure that her child was like well taken care of, had the resources they needed, and then at the same time be a wife. Right? In a marriage where my husband at times understood what I was doing, but at other times didn't. So that was just, and so for me, that was a quiet struggle because I didn't, when I showed up to places, when I talked to other entrepreneurs, that's not what I shared. Because one, oftentimes I didn't think people would understand. And two, that's not part of being a boss. A boss has it all together. And so that's just one of the example, my personal example. And so when I work with people, entrepreneurs, as well as high achieving women, professional women, oftentimes they feel like they're juggling so many balls, and all the balls are priorities, and all the balls are heavy, and they can't drop any of them. And so the question I often ask is, what would happen if one of these balls dropped? And getting people to be able to process. So I'm not sure if that answers your question,
Yeah, and
but
I was going to share a quiet because
yes.
I was having a conversation a few days ago with another entrepreneur, and we were actually having a conversation about when you're going through your so-called quiet struggles. Like she said, everything is crumbling around me. I have this outstanding invoice that I haven't got paid, but I still have to show up and look good. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just the process of smiling, showing up, looking good when people don't understand how everything is crumbling around me, people coming to me for jobs, and they think that I got it going on. I'm winning awards, I'm speaking. But the quiet storm is everything's crumbling, but I can't let anybody know that everything is crumbling.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be studious. You have to stand firm. You have to look good. Like I remember my quiet struggle for a long time was like, I don't have any money, but I still got to go out there and buy an outfit to show up at this event. You know? Things like, I mean, something as, small as that. So yeah. So definitely, I'd love for anyone to share what you've written in on your whatever on your paper or in the chat, or if you just want to unmute. Again, this is a safe space. What are some of the quiet struggles that one of the quiet struggles that you are experiencing in this entrepreneur journey?
Oh man. Hmm. Um, some of the things that I need for the business, with the shipping and everything that's going on now. So there's the delays with that, labels not coming in on time. So, having to improvise and make it work so you can, still look good.
Yeah.
um, sudden emergencies, all these things is what's been going on with me lately. Negative bank account. Yeah, just life, be lifing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I my woosah, my kind of to help bring me together and just focus. I mentioned earlier in the chat, I like the lavender baths helps me. Um, the jazz music, helps to relax me. My herbal teas, just me time.
Yeah.
Put down everything and just and just recoup.
Yeah. Thank you, Gloria, for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, finding strategies to deal with because these struggles, although I call them, quiet struggles because they're what you're experiencing that many people would not know. They're loud in your head. They're loud in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they want to take so much precedent and they take a lot of energy to be able to address, to be able to resolve, while at the same time still being that entrepreneur, right? Any emergencies. I know one of you in the beginning shared about, passing of a relative. That,
That was me.
yeah, yeah. And that's tough to still have to continue working. Um, or some of us may be caretakers of parents. That's tough as well. So thank you so much for sharing what you just offered. All of you who shared in the chat as well as unmuted to speak, you just offered all of us as a community a gift, and that is the gift of allowing all of us to know that we're not alone. We're not the only ones who are dealing with these quiet struggles, and that together as a community, we can help each other address, but also find ways to help release some of the pain and the hurt and the stress. And that's what, WEOP and myself want to do for you today.
I noticed in the chat, Cassandra Kirk wrote something about the politics of the performance, which is kind of interesting. Cassandra, can you talk a little bit about?
Yes, I'm sorry.
So, yes, hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Cassandra Kirk. Thank you all for having me. And so I obviously have, not obviously, but I have a entrepreneurial job, but I also have a corporate 9 to 5 job. And my corporate 9 to 5 job, I'm known as the person that is out in the community. And so that means that, for instance, yesterday I was on 2 Zooms back to back. On Monday, I was on, like, I am stretched so thin because people expect me because of my corporate job to be in the community. So when I get home, obviously it's time for me to do the work on the creative piece that I want to do. And I almost am at the point where some days I'm so exhausted. I saw Nina write that she's waking up at 4 and 5. I'm waking up at 3 to figure out if I'm going to get up and actually go downstairs and do my creative, or if I'm just going to stay in bed so I can get ready for the rest of what I have to do. And the politics portion of it is because I am expected to be there, people expect me to be there. Hey, I missed you at such and such. So when I take the time for me and I go, yep, nope, not going anywhere, not running up and down the road on Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to be here. I get oh, but you didn't show up. And so what does that mean? Are you not going to do something because I didn't show up? There is the performance that is expected. And then there is the connection as a result of constantly giving yourself to other people. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Cassandra, for sharing, because the reality is, and for bringing also to light the fact that there are a lot of entrepreneurs who hold down full-time jobs. And so they're like, not only are you wearing the hat of, your full-time job, but you're like also wearing so many other hats, and the expectation. And sometimes we won't be able to meet other people's expectations. But then if we don't, what does that mean as well? Right? What's the consequence of not meeting people's expectations? So thank you very much for sharing. And so, one of the reasons I wanted us to discuss this is because this is where positive intelligence comes in. Positive intelligence, or known as PQ, really is the framework I've used to be able to sustain being an entrepreneur for the past 7 years, but still not having made the millions that I dreamt of making when I first started. Positive intelligence is really what also helped me through my time during COVID, when I swear I was hearing voices all the time. And I was thinking, like, what's going on? Like, everything shut down. My bread and butter is, training. My bread and, I was on stages before speaking. And then I had to come back and do this virtually and learn how to do trainings virtually. Positive intelligence also recently just helped me when, I was in the DEI space, and, I had contracts. I was about to sign one of probably my biggest contract ever. Um, and then January 20th happened. And yeah, we know DEI was basically, signed off. And I lost that contract. And I had to like come to terms with the fact that my mindset had to be right for me to continue. So think of PQ like the mental fitness necessary to get yourself to move forward. It's the ability to handle life and business challenges with calm, clear, and positive mindset, and really, really find ways to get the negative voices, the negative positive mindset and out, and or turn the volume down on that so that you can go deeper into yourself and recognize your essence and your why, and be grounded in why you're choosing to be the entrepreneur or the mother or the whatever. But it also allows you to show up the way that is authentic to you, and not because you're pleasing other people, right? PQ helps us identify two core voices in our mind, right? The saboteurs, or the judge. The saboteurs, it really basically is whatever is seeking to sabotage you. And oftentimes we sabotage ourselves in life. It's easy to point fingers at other people, but we wake up with self, we hear self, and oftentimes it's what we hear that sabotages us and keeps us either stuck or in a place where we don't believe we're good enough to be where we want to be. So it's survival brain, that constant feeling like you got to keep going, going, going. That's because of the saboteurs, right? And so saboteurs are the fear-based, critical, and reactive ways that that we believe, right, are there to protect us. We believe are what's driving us. But and oftentimes I say they're overused strengths. They might have been worked at some point in time, but really, are they working now, right? And too often it keeps us stuck in places we don't want to be. On the other hand, sage is what we call the wise inner self. It's really rooted in empathy for yourself and how you show grace to yourself and others, in your curiosity for the unknown, your curiosity for a future that's doesn't seem like a possibility, but you're going to keep believing it is, right? It's sage is about creativity. So I want you to think about when you were, let's say, 5 years old, 4 years old, that essence you had, where most of us, you were curious about everything. You were picking up new vocabulary. You were, watching people and trying to see if you could do it yourself, or you were just doing your own thing. And sorry was probably a word that you either used a lot because you heard everybody else use it, or sorry was a word that you chose not to use at all, right? Remember that time where your mother told you to share, but you knew down well that sharing all the time wasn't always right. Because there are times where it just didn't even make sense that you should have to share. That was your genuine essence. That was your sage. And that sage, that feeling, that who you were at 5, at 4, is still there. And that's what's going to help you really move forward. I have a picture of myself when I was 4 years old. And my mother had this thing, like she had braid my hair during the week, but on Saturdays, I knew I could have an afro as big as the sun. And I could wear my hair like that. From Saturday was my favorite day just because she allowed me to do whatever I wanted with my hair. I would put flowers in it, I would do whatever, but it was my day. No one was touching my hair but me. And I have this picture, and I actually have it as one of my screensaver on my phone because it reminds me of my sage, who I was, who I knew myself to be. So, having said that, it's important, you know, to know what that is, to differentiate between the judge and the sage. So, have you ever felt like there are voices in your head? For me, oftentimes it's too many, but that are either tearing you down or trying to lift you up. Which one usually takes the mic? Which one is usually the loudest in your entrepreneur journey? Is it the judge, which is the harsh inner critic that's telling you you can't, you're not enough, you'll never amount to enough, other people are doing it, why aren't you doing it? Or is it the sage, the true self essence, that 4-year-old, 5-year-old voice that knew that you were able to do anything you dreamt about, that you believed in? Which one's the loudest in your head?
Can I interject something, Hermes?
Yes, please.
I was looking at what something that Nina Allen said, and she talks about how she wakes up at 4 or 5 with thoughts, and then you think about all the things you have to do, what you have to do. It's like you cannot quiet the voices down. They're saying, "Hey, get up, do this, do that, do that," and I can relate to that. So I had to get to a point where I was able to, when you talk about the judge and the sage, how you quiet those voices down, because there's only so much you can do in the morning anyway, right? So why can't you just reserve that time for yourself? Slow down. You almost have to train those inner voices to calm down. So it might be that you have a technique, or like I'm noticing something that Marina said about strategies for people to obtain mental fitness for people who do not have the same mental fortitude. So it might be that as you're thinking about all those little voices that tell us what we can't do, because what happens is we echo that little voice of what we can't do, and we talk about what we can't do. So we're in fact saying, I can't do this, or I'm not worthy of this, or nobody will respect, those kind of things that we in our words, we speak it. So
Very much so.
yeah, it's
We
like
are
having,
our own critics,
yeah, and
right?
have
We are often our own critics. So that means that we also have to be our own, be the one to be able to find the solutions to quiet that voice. And I see that a lot from the chat. A lot of you, have found ways. And thing is, there are times where those ways work until sometimes they don't work anymore because there's something that's so much bigger taking precedent. What worked for me when I wasn't a mother is difficult now. You mentioned something about the morning. My morning is probably the most hectic because I have a child I have to get ready. I have to wake up. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 3, just to be able to have my quiet time, because I know come 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm getting this whole household ready. I got to make breakfast. I got to do this. I got to make sure the book bag has all the homework in it. I got like, whew. And by the time I go, drop off my daughter at school and then come back and do this and figure out what we're going to eat for dinner and da da da. When I stop, I'm like, well, when am I supposed to do my business? So before, there are certain things that work, but you have to constantly figure out what's working for now, what will work today, because it might have worked yesterday, but it may not work now. And yes, you're right. It is very much about like the self-care. And we've all found various different strategies to quiet the voices, to turn down the volume. Prayer. I meditate. And my meditation is not always, and of course I do PQ reps, closing my eyes, but sometimes when I drop off my daughter on that drive here back home, I listen to healing sounds and water music. That's my way of pausing. That's my way of, quieting the sounds. But it's really important to know that there is a difference between the judge and the sage, right? So the judge, as we've said before, it is the loudest voice in the room, the loudest voice in your head. Especially when it comes to us as entrepreneurs, because regardless of your background, your personality, your profession, you're going to have a judge. And that judge voice is the voice that's going to tell you you should have done more. You're behind. You're not good enough. Everyone's doing better. It's going to cause you to constantly be on LinkedIn and social media to see how others are doing it better than you. And then you're going to compare yourself, right? Or it's going to tell you, why are you struggling at this? You've been doing this for 20 years, 30 years. This should be your bread and butter. Are you sure you can do this? That imposter syndrome myth that it tells you, you really can't do this. You're just lying to them, right? They're going to discover that you're a fraud. That's all judge voice. And the judge doesn't stop with you. It judges other people. It judges your clients, your competitors, your team, right? And even the people you love. I have caught myself several times when I'm here doing all of this, and then I see my husband and my daughter playing Uno, and I'm like, they know darn well. I'm like, he know darn well rent isn't doing, not rent, but mortgage is due in a week. And I'm busting my tail here, making sure, all those bills are paid. And they over here cackling and laughing over Uno. Just something simple like that, right? So the judge really, it judges your circumstance, not only you, but it judges your circumstance. It causes you to judge a future that you know nothing of, right? And then it often causes you to look to your past to validate your present. So it's never satisfied. It's always pushing, but at the same time holding you back. And it's definitely always criticizing you. And so that is the last word. But the thing about the judge is it never comes alone. So it comes with accomplice saboteurs. So now that we understand the judge, imagine it comes with 9 accomplice saboteurs. Remember when I said that during COVID, I thought I was hearing voices all the time? Like I almost, went and checked myself in. I was just like, look, something ain't right. I'm always like, it could be silent, but I feel like there's conversations happening in my head all the time. I quickly learned, once I started learning more about positive intelligence, that these are the accomplice saboteurs. Each one has a different voice, but they all operate from a place of fear, pressure, and survival, not from a place of sage power, right? And so oftentimes they're what I call, at them, they were overused strengths, meaning they worked at one point in time. You being a hyperachiever, in college was like wonderful because, you got the grades, like you were on top of your game. But you may not have had the same responsibilities that you do now. And so here's how they tend to show up. The pleaser, right? You see the pleaser here, the bottom, um, seeks approval. It's approval seeking and people pleasing. The avoider is about conflict avoidant and overly accommodating, right? It's the procrastinator. That's the voice that's telling you to put it off. You don't need to do it now, just put it off. They're not going to care. And then you have the controller, perfectionist and forceful, always seeking to control every situation around them, every space, every voice and individual within the space, right? I already spoke about the hyperachiever is success obsessed and very image driven. The hyper rational, overly analytical, emotionally distant. And then we have like the hyper vigilant voice, anxious, always anticipating worst case scenario. And then the victim, emotionally reactive and self-pitying, right? We all have some combination of these. It's not that you just have one, but oftentimes we have at least, three that are higher than, that are more visible and show up and in our heads more often than others. And while there once were overused strengths or protective strategies, they now sabotage our peace, our clarity, and the confidence that we need, especially as entrepreneurs, to move into spaces that may be foreign to us, to move into spaces that may have hurt us in the past, right? To move into spaces that where people don't look like us or don't even want our best, don't have our best interest in mind. Move into spaces where we may be the only one confident, but then we're told that our confidence is a bad thing. So it's important to know that a lot of these show up. So based on the definitions that I just shared with you, I'd like for us to recognize our inner saboteurs. I know what mine are. And mine have shifted through time, but I know what my top three are. I have a hyperachiever saboteur, I have a stickler saboteur, and I have a hyper vigilant saboteur. And those three, sometimes they show up individually with the judge, or sometimes all three of them come out at the same time. And I have to find ways to quiet the noise. So what I'd like for us to do here is, have any of you ever used Mentimeter? If you have your phone with you.
I just did mine.
Oh, you just did. Okay, awesome. All right. And then I will put, let me see. Let me also put it in the chat. Okay, so you see it here in the chat. Okay. So you put yours, did you put the access code as well?
No, I scanned it and I just signed.
Okay. All right, good. So has everyone had a chance to either scan it or actually go online? Yes?
I just did my phone and I just answered the questions.
Okay, good, good, good. So
Okay.
let me stop that then. Okay, so let's find the results now.
I haven't had a chance to scan it. I'm sorry, multitasking.
Oh, it's okay. It's also in the chat, so you can just go to the link in the chat as well.
I like that. That's cute.
Okay.
And you can see the results in real time, right, Hermence?
Yes, yes. So we're going to see the results in real time here.
Which am I clicking on? I'm sorry.
You see, if you go to the chat, a Mentimeter exercise, you'll
Oh, that
see.
one. Okay, yeah, okay.
And there's an access code, right?
Yes. Okay. So let me know just by thumbs up if you when you finish.
I did thumbs up. It didn't send it back. Did you get my thumbs up?
Yes, yes. I'm
Oh.
wait. Okay.
What? Hmm. So are we clicking on the hmm.
Yes. So you're filling it in.
Okay.
Okay. It doesn't seem to be coming through. Okay. So I see creative, fast, focus, leader, bold. Okay.
You see,
So far, yes, I'm about to show. Okay. Let me present it to you. All right. Let me share. Where's it? Okay. Can everyone see it now?
yes. Okay.
Okay. So what does your judge say to you most often? So we have stop, too gifted, give up, lazy, procrastinator, you're not good enough. Any other things?
He didn't ask me that question. What is your judge?
Yeah, I see the question. I was like, I didn't see anything. Now I'm seeing top gifted, stop, lazy, procrastinate. I'm seeing that.
Okay, but you didn't.
I didn't see
Okay.
that before. When I first hit it, I didn't see anything.
These are, yeah, no, these are what other people have shared. You
Oh,
wouldn't have seen
Okay.
this until you submit. You have to submit.
Um,
Okay. And then this is the second question. So we can just talk it through. We can talk it through.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Let me see.
oh, I see that. So I didn't see that.
Where do you hit submit at? Where's
There should be on your phone. So I don't know.
oh
Okay.
oh no, I clicked it. I clicked the link in the chat. So I don't know if that's
Okay.
different.
No, it shouldn't. It's the same. But nevertheless, because time wise,
Yeah.
but let's just discuss it.
Okay.
Okay, let's discuss it. It's easy like that. So, what does your judge say most often? What is it telling you most often? And some of you said, um, it, you're not enough. You procrastinate. What are some of those other things that the judge tells you?
That was interesting. You were saying too gifted, or is it like
Someone put too gifted.
okay, too
All
gifted?
right. Would someone like to share? Whoever?
Hello, I'm
Yes.
Leisha. I'm the one who put too gifted.
Yes.
What I meant by that is that I'm too gifted to be where I am. Like I need to be achieving more. I am not living up to the end of the deal of someone who has talent. So why am I not doing better than I'm doing?
Okay.
Yeah. No, Alicia, thank you so much for sharing that. My judge tells me the same thing. You've had so many years in school, you have your master's, you have this, you've traveled around the world, and da da da. And this is where you're at. So I feel you on that for sure. Thank you so much for sharing. Other people procrastinators. And some people, anyone want to speak about that voice, that comment that the judge shares?
Sure, I can speak. My name's Pam. I'm in Durham, North Carolina. And I've never been a procrastinator in my life till now. And I'm not pleased with myself for doing that, but I haven't finished my website, which should have been done months ago. I've been in this space of looking for over a year and tired of it, and really feel like I shouldn't have to, because I do present on a lot of the same information that you're sharing. And it's just not coming together like everything else has in my life up until, I don't know, somewhere last year. So I'm not pleased. And Antoinette's been in my ear, and that hasn't pushed me forward. Other friends have been in my ear, and it's just not as simple as it always was. So it's a different space now. But yeah, I'm a procrastinator now, and I hear everybody speaking in my ear and to my heart, and it still is not working. And I say, okay, chick, you've reached a new low. Even though I feel okay, but I just feel like I'm not reaching my potential like I always have. So,
Oh, thank
yeah.
you for sharing, Pamela.
Yeah.
I would like to challenge you in a way, if you it's okay, um, to the words that you use. So I believe in the power of I am. And the thing is, a lot of times the judge will use I am or you are in your ear. So I challenge you to, when you speak about this struggle, this quiet struggle that you have with procrastination, instead of saying, I am a procrastinator, I have adopted procrastination behaviors. Right? Because that's not who you used to be, you just said. And that's not who you've known yourself to be. So why have you adopted that title for yourself when that's not your sage? That's not your essence. That's not who you've known yourself to be. It's just a particular behavior. So for all of us, I really challenge us to drop I am when we're speaking negatively about ourselves and replace that with behavior or practice. So I have the practice of being I have a practice of procrastinating when I know that I shouldn't, as opposed to you are. Is that okay? Yeah? All right.
Can I add something, Hermes?
Yes.
I was saying that a lot of times, like when I created my journal, I have this phase that I call work your plan and plan your work. And when you think about procrastination, these are things that we're not doing. So do you think it would be helpful if we created like a list of 10 things we know we should be doing, and every day or every week we try to knock that list down? That gives us more action oriented in terms of to stop being procrastinators.
Yes. Yes. One of the things, words have power, right? So some people, depending, it all depends on which saboteur you have. Because for some people, the journaling and all of that is great. But some people also have ADHD. And so putting a lot on a list, right? Or even creating that is really hard.
Okay.
So when I say power, for example, instead of a to-do list or what I'm gonna do, possibly going, what are the wins? So working backwards. My goal is ABC. I have two goals for the day. And what do I need to do to, this is the goal. What steps I need to take to accomplish this goal today? And how am I going to reward myself? For someone who has phobia of having too much on their plate because they, with ADHD, sometimes, you just constantly, your mind is going in very different directions with the voice and everything. When you just say, here are two for the day, that's better than having a list of 10. And then we like rewards. How are you going to reward yourself after you finish that one goal? For me, sometimes that means putting on my favorite song and dancing for at least 5 minutes. And then I go back. So one of the things I do with my people that I coach is that I help them figure out how their sage operates and how their saboteurs hijack or try to hijack their sage. And then we create, like you said, plan on how to move through the day and what to do, right? And so, I want the sage is the calm, clear, and creative part of you. It's not just an idea. It's not just an herb, we know, right? but it's really the part of your brain that gets activated when you fully present, when you're self-compassionate and emotionally regulated. In other words, when you feel damn good about yourself, when you know there ain't none stopping you, when you know whatever people are saying, what do we say after kids, what you say bounce off of me and goes to whatever, like when that's your sage, right? It's the best version of yourself, your best self, and and then for your entrepreneur lives, it helps you find clarity. It leads and walks with you in spaces, right, that you may have doubted in the past, right? It's what allows you to show up on LinkedIn as your authentic self, right? And it helps you be focused and creative. So in essence, it's your true essence. And your sage has 5 powers that help you respond to challenges and also help you become resilient. And more than ever, we are seeking to be resilient. Your sage tells you, look, yeah, things are tough. Yes, this government is, don't have your best interest in mind, right? Yes, the economy. Yes, now the tariffs are impacting, my shipping orders and everything. It doesn't cause you to forget that there's truth and reality. It helps you navigate the truth and reality. And it does this with 5 sage powers. This helps you lead with wisdom and not fear. And it shows up in this way. Empathize. For example, you pause and offer compassion and grace to yourself when a launch didn't go as planned, when not everybody showed up, when you decided to have a training, you worked really hard to do the training, 100 people scheduled and said they were coming and only 10 show up, right? When things don't go as planned, instead of spiraling into self-judgment, you empathize with self. You see the benefit and opportunity in the situation. Then you have explore. You ask curious questions in a client feedback session, even when the feedback is tough to hear, because in that feedback, you will, if you're in sage mode, you will be able to find the opportunity in the feedback to be better, to do better. Innovate. You come up with creative solutions when a partner backs out instead of panicking or freezing. When the president of the United States decides that DEI is no longer important and the whole country shouldn't do it, and your contracts get thrown down the water, what do you do now? You pivot. Innovation, right? When you in innovate sage mode, you learn how to pivot. You learn how to maneuver and you do one of those, what is it? What's that movie with Keanu? Where he would just lean all the way back and things would just miss him. Right? You learn how to do that. And then we have navigate. You weigh a decision not just by profit, but by how it aligns with your values and your long-term vision and your self-care regimen and routine, right? Oftentimes we are yes people because we know it's like, are you accepting a contract that's not paying you enough just so you can say you have a contract, even though you know you're going to hate working with every single person on that team? Right? So, how is that aligning with your values and your long term mission and your need to take care of yourself? When you're in sage mode, you're able to clearly navigate that. And then activate. One of my favorite sage powers, but one that I am constantly working to embody and to constantly show up with is activate. When you take confident action, even when you're nervous, even when others don't believe in you, even if the room looks unfamiliar and the conversation is going left when it should be going right, because it aligns with your deeper purpose. You're doing it anyway, but you're doing it anyway knowing that it aligns with your deeper purpose, with your sage, not because people are expecting you to do so. So these five sage powers are really the foundation of any self-care. They're the foundation of entrepreneurship. They're the foundation of what it means to walk into and be present in sage. So you're not something, it's not something that you have to earn, right? They're already within you. These were the sage powers before you even knew it that existed in that 4-year-old, 5-year-old self of yours. That that moment you decided you wanted to be an entrepreneur. That feeling you had about, oh my goodness, I'm gonna do this, scared, but I'm gonna do it anyway. That's because you had sage power within you. So these powers are active and they don't just lead to better, but they really lead to a place of clarity, connection, and confidence. And hence why I really think it's important for us to understand that positive intelligence is about allowing your leading with sage and toning down the volume on the saboteurs and the judge. So having said that, I've shared a whole lot. When was the last time you felt like your sage was leading your entrepreneur business? That it was in the forefront? And what did it feel like in your body, your mind, and your business? I want you to think about it. Take maybe 30 minutes or so, just like, not 30 minutes, excuse me, 30 seconds, and think about that moment when you were like, oh yeah, like this is who I am. When and it doesn't have to be too long ago. It doesn't have to be big, but like a recent moment when you felt calm, clear, and deeply aligned with yourself and your purpose. And it might have been during a tough decision where you chose grace over reaction, right? When someone called you out of your name and you did one of these things, and right? Or a time you trusted your gut and acted with confidence instead of fear. When was that?
Now I want to can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I want to add that it's sage also when you're doing something you feel confident about. Like I love to write, and I feel my sage when I write things and express what I feel. And that's
Yes.
part of my sage. And also I
Yes.
want to add that it's important that we go through so much to have accountability and have people who support our sage, who can
Right.
give us insight and perspective as being an entrepreneur. People always tell us what to do and how to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
having people really in your life that can kind of really give you that guidance and support and motivate you to really do it.
Yeah.
And so I
A
think at a certain point,
community.
women need support groups, they need accountability partners, they need to be around women doing the same thing they're doing to really motivate them instead of people just telling you what to do.
Exactly. A community. People
Yeah.
who know you and who not only know you, but they know how to reach you and believe in you more than you believe in yourself sometimes. That's really important. Yes.
Can you also, and I think you defined it in the beginning, just define SAGE again. So as we wind down this particular presentation, which we have about 8 minutes, we can have our SAGE, but what specifically does SAGE mean?
SAGE is the ability to be able to go through challenges as your authentic self and your pure essence. So I'll even go back to, so it is, you hear, it's the calm, clear, and creative part of yourself.
So I was thinking, so SAGE, S doesn't mean it like, it's not like
No, it's not an acronym. No, it's not.
calm, clear, creative part of you, SAGE.
Yeah.
And
And that's what you lead with.
Where does it derive from? Is it some Italian? I mean,
No, it's it's light, right? This idea of light and fire. I mean, that's it's that light inside of you that shines. There's that fire inside of you that shines. It's that sage, that calm, that yeah. So there's not an acronym, and that's how we've defined it as opposed to saboteurs.
and who came up
And
with it?
isn't it like a part of ancient wisdom that came up years ago and they
Yes,
defined
very
this? It's
much
part
so.
of the
Yeah.
ancient wisdom.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
a ideology, an ancient wisdom.
Yes.
Wisdom.
The inner sage, it's the inner light. You know, you've seen things where like there's a candle, you know, like in the heart, like it's that inner peace that comes out.
Okay.
That we all have, that we're, you know, we say that we're born with.
Too,
Yeah.
can I share that I lived in New Mexico for about 5 years, and sage was a big deal to American Indians or Native Americans, and to cleanse their minds and the space they're in, they would sage the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also used that in cultural understanding when someone from varying cultures wants to sage a room, and people in corporate America are, you know, have faces all turned up thinking, well, what in the world are they talking about? To respect the cultural components of what other people bring to help calm and find peace, and to maybe clear the negative energy in the room when something has happened. So when I hear sage, I hear either wisdom or that opportunity to cleanse and refresh and breathe and alter any negative situations.
Yeah. To take out the negativity, right? To release the negativity and bring in the peace. Yeah.
And what do you use to sage the room? Do you use a leaf, or what do you use in New Mexico? What did they use to sage the room?
A sage bar, I've gotten mine from New Mexico, from TJ Maxx.
Okay.
When we moved into this house almost 10 years ago, I had our pastor come in and bless it. And then I did a sage afterward to just cleanse all the rooms in the house. So you can pick them up anywhere and just, put a fire to them and let them burn, and let that white smoke just, cleanse through the air.
Okay.
It's beautiful. It really is.
Okay.
And it has an energy when you do it, you can almost feel the negativity being released.
And
Oh,
crack
there
the
you
window.
go.
With that being said, open the window when you sage, or crack a
Yes.
window or something.
So that negativity can leave, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, both of you. So so now as we come to a close, I want us to, now that we've acknowledged what our saboteurs may be, right? And what SAGE is, I want to go through another PQ where I'm helping you practice the shift, right? To go from saboteur to SAGE mode. So if you can, again, sit with your feet placed, okay, relaxed in your chair. And if you can take both hands and place them gently over your heart. Close your eyes. Take a slow breath in and even a slower breath out. Now bring your full attention to your heartbeat beneath your hands. Notice the gentle rhythm. Let yourself really feel it. You don't need to change anything, just listen. Now imagine this, a recent moment when your saboteur voice showed up. Maybe it was the judge with the pleaser, the judge with the hyperachiever, the judge with the restless. Notice how it felt in your body. Where did it live? Your shoulders, your stomach, your head, your back, or was it in your breath? Now shift. Bring your attention back to your heartbeat. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you you are here. You are safe. You are enough. You were born worthy. This is your sage speaking. What else is it telling you? From this place, ask yourself, what would my sage do in that moment? That moment that brought you stress. That moment that made you doubt yourself. Now gently open your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Now when you're ready, bring your attention back to this room, this space. If you feel moved to, please drop one word that describes your feeling or what your sage told you. And what did you notice as you shifted from your saboteur to your sage? How did your body or mindset change, even just a little? So, because you took the time to show up for yourself and have this conversation, I have a gift for you.
Yay, we love gifts.
So, I am gifting you the discovery of your saboteurs, what they really are, which ones are. And here with this QR code, you can go and take the PQ Saboteur Assessment. And once you've taken the assessment, feel free to take a picture of this. You can send me your results and we can schedule a 30-minute complimentary debrief. I will give you 30 minutes of my time to be able to help you process what your saboteurs are and what next steps you may need to take. You've done such powerful reflection today, and I want to thank you by showing up with honesty and heart, hence my gift.
Can we also do this online, like instead of the scan code, could you have a website link?
Yes, it's actually, so you'll see here, I'll put it in again. I'll put it in the chat again.
Can you, Hermence, send that to me, send it to my email, okay?
Okay.
Once
Okay.
I can.
All right. I'll send that to you. I've also put it in the chat again.
Okay.
All right. And then you email it to me and I'll take that time. In return, however, I'd love for your feedback.
Okay.
I'd love to know what you gained out of this presentation, this conversation. And I have a Talkadot and just a couple questions because as an entrepreneur, we all know that a lot of the work that we get is sometimes from word of mouth and from these testimonials and how people experience us. So I kindly ask for you to, you'll see also in the chat, I've also put, the link, and, there's the QR code. See, and to give feedback, I'll give it to you again. This is very important, as you know, and I would really appreciate your feedback. And I too am in the process of redoing my website. And I'd like to put some testimonials on that website. So really appreciate it. So as again, as what's the ones inside you're walking away with? Um feel free to share that with the Talkadot or here in the space. And if you have any questions, I'm open to staying and answering your questions as well. Or you can schedule a time to meet with me, and we will go about doing that. Because as a community, as a WEOP community, the only reason I'm still an entrepreneur is because I met amazing people within WEOP who are willing to help pour into me and guide me and nurture me, and I'd love to do the same as well. So don't forget to take that PQ Saboteur assessment, schedule the complimentary 30-minute debrief, and complete the Talkadot survey. Any feedback, any questions? I'm open.
Hermence, from the group, we want to give you applause and say thank you for taking time from your schedule to share your professional insights. And everybody, with a round of applause or reactions, we thank you. Yay!
Thank you all. Thank you so very much.